Welcome to the Somewhat Frank podcast, hosted by me, Frank Gruber, and joined by my friends and colleagues, Jen Consalvo and John Guidos. This podcast explores the latest trends and advancements in technology and business, including emerging startups and how they shape today while looking forward towards the future. We also enjoy testing new gadgets and products and sharing our findings too, along with our favorite pop culture picks like music, books, and what we're streaming. This podcast is produced in collaboration with our company, Established. Ready to dive in? Time to be somewhat frank. Welcome back to episode 83 of Somewhat Frank Podcast. I'm your host, Somewhat Frank Gruber. I'm joined by Johnny Goodtimes Guidos and Simon Kahan. Wow, we got Jen out today. She's sick, unfortunately. We had a rough night with the little one, and she caught whatever that was, and it's been floating around, and oof, it wasn't good. So hopefully she's on the ups here because it was rough. Today we've got a great episode. We're going to be talking about Taylor Swift and her new album, The Life of a Showgirl, which probably you're wondering why we're going to talk about. We'll talk about why we're going to talk about it in a minute. AI, Workslop, which is clogging up the workplace. That's a tough word to say, Workslop. Anyway, meta mining, chatbot convos for ads, and OpenAI launched something new called Sora 2, and it's pretty cool. Turns text into video. And we're also going to talk about something you're out of here with a robot, umps from baseball. If you guys are watching any baseball, regular umps might be out of here soon. And much, much more. So around the horn real quick, Johnny Goodtimes, what are you up to?
Hey, Frank, hey, everybody. What we'd be up to is we're planning a trip up to your neck of the woods, up to New England to check out the fall colors coming here soon. So that's exciting.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we're in the swing of fall, which is my favorite.
Yeah, and it's getting to look pretty good up here. And I watched, there's a map they post every couple days about the foliage of the trees. And I think that's good timing. I think you're going to get close to peak timing on the tree leaves. Kicking it over to Simon. What are you up to, Simon? Creatine. It sounds like it's going to be stick season after that, right?
It is stick season coming up. 1, 2. I think I actually know what creatine means. I've been trying to work out more, and I want to turn into like a rippling ball of veins. So looking into creatine, I also stubbed my toe this morning getting out of bed. So like my entire weekend's ruined. And just kind of, just a little malaise today, but very excited to be on the podcast, talking all things Taylor and AI and whatnot.
Nice. Sorry about your toe. Which one was it?
It was my big right toe. And I haven't been through like incredibly painful things in my life, but I like to think I've been through some painful things, and stubbing your toe and getting a brain freeze are like, to this day, some of the most painful things ever. And I just couldn't handle it this morning.
Yeah, those are two good ones to remember. And then also the funny bone, hitting your funny bone. Add that.
Yeah.
Those three are
so painful. Like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yep, totally hear you. All right, we're going to dive right in here. First, I'm going to quickly talk about what I've been doing, and then we'll dive in a second. So Freiburg Fair is in Freiburg, Maine, and it's something I had never really engaged with or heard about until recently. It's the largest agricultural fair east of the Mississippi, I'm told, which means that there are lots of livestock and people, and it's a big deal. So I actually attended it recently, and I got to go see some llamas and alpacas, and there's a whole house of bunnies, and I think you can buy the bunnies. Thankfully we didn't come home with any bunnies. And then we also checked out the show horses. There were some draft horses, which, have you ever seen like a draft horse, an actual draft horse in real life?
They're giant. They're huge.
Oh my, it's like out of a prehistoric time. They're humongous. It's unbelievable. And I feel like, I'm 6 foot and I'm like going next to these and they are like 10 feet tall. It's crazy. It doesn't even look real. So that was pretty cool. And obviously we rode the merry-go-round and tasted every kind of tasty treat you could taste at a carnival, more or less. And it was good times for sure. And that coupled with that was about the same time we heard about the government shutdown. So we are in a government shutdown right now, and it definitely impacts the work at Established. So we're doing our best to keep busy and keep moving with the things we can do offline, and as we wait for the government to sort this out, and hopefully they'll be able to do that soon. And with that, we're going to talk about this day in history. Simon, do you want to do it? You brought it up, so let's go for it.
Yeah, and for all you listeners, I've been recently doing like this day in history just because it's cool, and it's if it's a boring day, I'm sure something historically important happened. So on this day in history, after 4 decades of Cold War division and with pressure from the German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev agreed to a unified Germany, leading to Germany's reunification on this day in 1990.
Great. And for those listening, obviously the day you listen is not going to be the day that happened in history. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, it'd be really weird that that happened every single day.
Well, it was between the Berlin Wall falling and I guess Madonna was born today. So
Oh,
I had to choose between those two historical
okay.
events.
Well, good job. All right. So we'll try to add that to every podcast. That's fun. All right. So speaking of historical events, pretty much the entire Instagram feed that I've seen is orange right now, orange and glittery, and it has to do with Taylor Swift's latest release of her album, The Life of a Showgirl. It dropped last night at midnight, and we're going to quickly dissect it and then move on to our other topics because I don't want to talk about it too long, but basically just wanted to make reference to the fact this is her 12th album. All right, so Simon, real quick, what did you like or not like about it?
So I've only seen clips online and stuff. I generally like Taylor Swift. I will say I think I've heard a lot of like internet slang in some of her songs in this album, and it's not my favorite personally. I think I don't know. I would say it's kind of bland. I don't have a very strong opinion about it, but I like Travis Kelce, so I don't know. I know John has a lot of strong takes on Taylor.
Yes, he does.
About it.
He's
What do
been
you think?
waiting to bring it up. I know he's dying to talk about it. Johnny, what are you thinking here with Taylor Swift and this whole album?
I've been on the edge of my seat to contribute here. No, I haven't had a chance to listen to her new album yet. I am a fan of her older stuff. I will say
come
that.
on, you didn't listen yet? I sent it to you at 7 a.m.
I know. I'm aware, Frank. Yeah, I know.
You couldn't put it on for 42 minutes. Literally.
The clips I've listened. We talk about
I
stuff
need to
being
do it
watered
behind the
down.
scenes right now. What were you doing for the last 5 hours?
Working on other stuff.
I know, but you can listen and work at the same time.
Frank, I'm trying to be nice here. I'm not as excited as some other people about the new Taylor Swift album. I like her old
Well,
stuff.
Simon isn't excited at all, so I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not excited. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not very excited about it.
Frank, you go into what do you think? You're the one that's a big Taylor Swift fan here. What do you
No,
got?
I think musically. I'm talking musically. I'm a fan of music, and I feel like she's a machine, right? Like think about like what she's done for pop culture and just like music in general, right? She's brought a lot of people together and obviously made herself a billionaire doing it. So that deserves a little bit of attention, I think. So anyway, as far as I'm concerned, I think it was a good album. It's not my favorite album. I've listened to some of her other music and I like it a little bit better. She's reverted back to a little bit more pop. It's more I guess you'd call like dance music, bangers, whatever you want to call it. And she's got some good ones. I think my favorite though is Fate of Ophelia, which I don't know if does anyone know who Ophelia is? Those Shakespeare buffs out there. All right, she actually was in Hamlet, and Shakespeare wrote this, Hamlet, and more or less she was broken by her father's death and Hamlet's rejection, and then driven to madness, and eventually ended up dead, I believe. So anyway, it's deeper than you think, I guess, with this album. So
Yeah, I her lyric, "Did you girl boss too close to the sun?" I felt that. I thought about my dad and my religion, and no, it was great. And I'm making a joke, but I think
I know
she's a good musician. I just didn't like that.
she definitely like she gave reference to 50 Cent. She gave a shout out to 50 Cent in the album. One of the lyrics, definitely. I don't know if you guys. So Wood. There's a song called Wood.
Yeah.
It's not about redwood trees, although it does reference redwood trees. It's a little more sexual than that. So yeah, the album itself, probably not a kid's album. I think it's got the E, right? So it's definitely not a kid's album. There's a few songs that are safe, and yeah, definitely an interesting album. Actual Romantic is a song on the album, and the backbeat of that song. You guys familiar with the Pixies? Where Is My Mind?
Yeah, it's a great
song,
song.
Where Is My Mind? Great song. It's that song. Like it uses the same like chord progression for that throughout the whole song. So it's interesting. I don't know if they had to like get that clearance or whatever. But yeah, I think there's a few songs I like. So yeah, we'll see. I like to always like let it resonate for a little bit. I can't tell if I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to that again or whatever. Whereas her last album, there was one song that I listened to. I liked a lot. Yeah, not that there weren't other songs that were good. It's just that the rest didn't resonate with me. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. There is a song canceled. It's got a little bit of a message in it. I don't know if you guys remember, but she was canceled by the president with a tweet, and so I think this is her retaliation. And it's a pretty good song, pretty tight, very timely in the fact that we had Jimmy Kimmel canceled a couple weeks ago, and others still in the crosshairs. Interesting song there, and I think it definitely reflects that she is in love with Travis Kelce, and they're getting married, and that is what it says to me. So, but definitely going to do probably pretty well. And they've got a whole, this weekend, it's in the theater. She's doing a whole thing. It's going to be a box office hit for sure. So then behind the scenes is in the theaters. So that's kind of interesting. I don't remember last time an artist did that. Do you guys remember anything like that? Like an artist that put out an album out and then had a one weekend only behind the scenes movie about making the album that's going to only be gone, do that one weekend and then be gone forever?
I don't think I've heard of that from other artists.
No. It's pretty brilliant from a marketing perspective. So that's why I think it's important and timely. Some of the things she's doing are, they're smart, really smart. Leading up, she was selling her orange cardigan sweaters for $70. I don't know if you guys picked one up. I'm surprised that you're not wearing them. Today, I thought for sure of all days you'd be wearing one, but nobody seemed to be wearing it today. Must be dirty. But either way, it's brilliant. $70 times how many fans does she have? That's pretty. She's doing pretty well. Anyway, moving along here. Oh, and by the way, Jen's favorite song I think is she threw it in. She didn't listen to the whole album yet either because she's been a little bit down and out. But I think she liked "Life of a Showgirl," which is the title track with Sabrina Carpenter, which will probably be on the radio at some point. All right. Moving on, let's dive into some tech trends and other stories. First story here is about AI-generated Workslop. Have you guys ever had a situation where you're reading a draft of something and then all of a sudden you get a draft via AI and all of a sudden you're like spending hours fixing it via AI? So you're like, okay, no, do this. No, now do that. No, do this. No, do that. You could have just wrote the whole thing, by yourself and not worried about like all the prompting, and you could have just got it done faster probably. So that's one instance of Workslop. I guess there's a Harvard Business Review piece called AI Generated Workslop that's out there. You can take a read. We'll drop it in the show notes. But AI tools are, generating and has doubled in the workforce, and people are using them nonstop. And so you're starting to get to the point where some of the stuff that's being produced isn't being checked. Sometimes AI makes errors. It can be tough sometimes to distinguish what's it's dangerous, I guess what I'm saying, because there's nobody cleaning up some of these outputs and then they're posting them and things like that. So a whole article about the risks of it, how you're feeling like you're productive, but at the same time, you're like doing the same thing longer and not making real progress. But needless to say, there's still, there are pluses obviously from using AI. It does save you time if you know what you're doing and you don't have to you can get through the slop. Anyway, Johnny, have you ever, drafted something and thought, wow, I should have probably just done that myself?
Not as much with the text, but I have had issues recently with the artwork. So you used to be able to prompt with artwork, like using some nice prompts, get some really nice artwork out. And lately it's been worse than what I would have done myself. And so in that category, I could definitely say I've had to redo it myself or look for other options or have somebody else help me out with it rather than just using the prompts to create the artwork. So I've definitely had that issue lately.
That's a great point. I've noticed that too, that I feel like when it first came out, the AI prompt for OpenAI at least, in ChatGPT was better. Like all of a sudden you'd ask for something and it would give you a really good response. Now it takes longer and it feels like it costs more in time just getting, reiterating like, okay, no, I don't want chickens all over it. Please get rid of the chickens. And then, or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, Simon, what about you? Growing pains, do you see any, are you drowning in Workslop over there?
Occasionally. Lately I've been really enjoying using AI for things that would be sort of trivial, but would take me a lot of time. So for example, I'd be really stressed out about sending emails because I'd always worried there'd be like a typo or I sounded too enthusiastic or not enthusiastic enough. So I've been using a lot of AI for that where you don't have to think about it too hard. But similar to John, I have a lot of issues using it for graphic design as well. And one of my big gripes is that it will give you a graphic, but then it won't give you the assets that you need to like edit the graphic. So if you want to change one thing, you have to rewrite the entire prompt, even though the change you wanted was just like a slight color change. So yeah, I find that it's getting worse in graphic design. They're still very helpful for like trivial work stuff, but I can't imagine it goes away, and I can't imagine people use it less going forward. I think it would only be more.
Yeah, I mean, that great point about the assets. With AI, when you're creating like images or whatever, it doesn't spit out the assets. I did something recently with asking for an image, asked for the assets, and the assets were literally a circle. I wasn't making a circle. I'd created some image. It created a circle with like one line in it, and that's what it sent me as the Photoshop version or a PSD version of that file. And I was like, this isn't going to be helpful. So I actually now need to go figure out how to get that image turned into the right kind of format to be able to edit. And that is really tricky. So I don't know, maybe there's a way that we can figure out how to do that with using other tools, but OpenAI right now is struggling with that.
I'd be surprised. I imagine this exists, but I'd be surprised there isn't like a chatbot strictly for graphic design that would just spit out like .svgs or PNGs or AIs or something like that. Because I could see how that'd be really helpful. I know that functionality exists within like the Adobe Creative Suite, but it'd be interesting to see if that becomes popular, because I could definitely see a use case for that.
We should look. Let's check. Google around and check during this pod, and we'll figure out and come back. But if anyone knows of one, email us at somewhatfrank@est.us. We'd love to hear from you. You can send your tips there as well, and we'll take a look at it. But I haven't seen one that does just that, but that would be really helpful if you could take any image and turn it into the assets just from the image. Granted, you have to recreate it. I think the biggest hardship with that is when you ask it to make that change to go and get those assets, and you say, no, those aren't the assets, it sometimes regenerates the entire image again and is different.
Yeah.
And that's super annoying.
Super annoying. I'll find myself taking longer prompt, like doing Workslop, than I could just recreate it myself in Adobe. And
Right. It's like you're talking to like in some cases it's like you're talking to like somebody that just isn't getting what you're saying, and so it's difficult sometimes. All right, so are we outsourcing first drafts, or Johnny, do you have any other thoughts? Or basically, are you catching all the mistakes? Are you guys seeing mistakes from Workslop and then catching them?
A little bit, yeah, because it's been, so if you ask it to do something, it'll just make some assumptions on its own, and like, so I've had to go in a lot of times and edit, and there were could have been very significant issues with just utilizing the text that it sent to me. So I've had to to the point of giving somebody the wrong title, for example, and like luckily finding it and revising it before it went out. And you think to yourself, like, I don't even know how ChatGPT assumed that was the person's title or something like that. So yeah, I mean, the amount of time I spend revising and editing and reviewing the content that ChatGPT produces for me is probably the equivalent of, like you said, doing it myself. So there was a little bit of that. I mean, overall, I would say it's definitely still very helpful.
Yeah, it's a good spark or a starter. Like if you're trying to like get something going quickly, create a framework, you can get that done quickly, and then you have to flesh it out and make sure everything's right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, AI is still definitely the future for me anyways. Like I used to go to Google and Google something. Now, for example, I mentioned that we're coming up to New England for the fall, just go in there and say, hey, a 7-day itinerary for New England in the fall, and you automatically get the 7-day road trip plan, all your meals and everything, all your activities and stuff like that. So I definitely think that, and from people even my parents who are they're not as tech savvy as other people, for example, they're using, ChatGPT or Perplexity, for example, to, for searches. So, Google, I know, is definitely investing heavily in AI for good reason, because now Google may ultimately be obsolete at some point with the search quality of these AI tools.
Well, I'm finding myself using their tool too. So Gemini is their tool, and I have it on my phone, and I do use it for different things. They just added images too. Maybe we should try that for images and see how it compares. I'd love to see the difference and see if maybe if it can the results are better. I've also noticed they have taken some of that Gemini stuff and content and put it into search. And I actually look for those first now. Like I've been already trained to like look for the AI results because they're a little bit more, like you said, John, in line with like what you're trying to do, and they kind of assemble that structure you're looking for versus like you having to go like search for that needle in a haystack, right? It's actually assembling like some thought around it.
Definitely.
All right, we're gonna move on unless you guys have anything else. Let's move to Johnny. What story did you bring today?
Well, actually, a couple times I've recently stumbled upon the same sort of article about how Meta is going to now be using AI chatbot conversations to target ads. So, for example, like I just said, we're going up to Maine or New England for a week, and I said come up with a week-long itinerary. Well, now Meta, if you're using their AI platform, will actually start sending you ads about things or places to travel to when you're up in New England, for example. And that's all through my chat that I did through their platform. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that push back on this due to security or privacy issues. There's also there's some exclusions as well. Like they say that they're not going to be monetizing, around healthcare, for example. Health-related issues, religion, politics, those sorts of things. But, who knows who's defining that, for example. I mean, we use ChatGPT a lot to diagnose certain things, right? Like if I have a swollen ankle, take a picture of my ankle and asked ChatGPT what's wrong with my ankle. Now I'm going to start receiving ads about, stuff to help your ankles out. It's kind of seems like it might get a little spammy as well. So, but they need to monetize these companies are worth so many billions and trillions of dollars now. I don't know if it's trillions yet, but like $500 billion, definitely $500 billion enterprise value for some of these companies. They need to start making money on it, and targeting ads is definitely going to be a way in the future.
Yeah, and that's nothing new though, right? Like Google's Gmail has been targeting ads when it first, from the beginning, right? Like they've had ads in, using your text probably from your email to like target ads. I'm pretty sure they've been doing that for a long time. So this is just using your text from like Instagram, or if you're using their Messenger product, or I guess Oculus, right? The AI product, or what other, are those the products they're talking about when they're going to use that data? I think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's when you're using the Meta, when you're using their AI chatbot.
I think just like John said, I think it's a really slippery slope, because I think the way you use Google and the way it gives you ads based on that is different than how you use a chatbot and the ads it'll give you. So, for example, there's a lot of stuff in the news about people using chatbots for mental health or therapy, or talking about things they definitely don't want Google to monetize. So, if I start talking to Google's chatbot about how I'm depressed, is it going to advertise Zoloft for me? And like, is that okay? I would argue no. And so I think it's the stakes are a lot higher when the ads start coming out of these conversations rather than just what you're searching. So yeah, I mean, it's super dystopian and scary, but I don't know. Maybe it's good. I don't know. I think sometimes ads lately have been really good for me. Like they'll show me a shirt and I'll buy the shirt and I think the shirt looks really cool. And maybe it will suggest Zoloft for me. I don't know. I'd be curious.
Right. At least they're being upfront about it, I guess. I guess this is their way of telling us that they're going to use the data versus doing it later, you finding out later and from, that you're getting these personalized ads and you're like wondering why. I mean, I think we've been wondering that for a while with Apple, right? Like, are they listening? I'm pretty sure they are, because we get, some of these apps are listening, right? And you're getting targeted ads based on what you're talking about, even when you're not talking about it. I mean, we've all seen that happen, right? You talk about something and 10 minutes later, you get an ad for it somewhere on a service. So that's happening. That's not magic. Like somehow that's happening. So I think it's just their way of being more upfront about what you're sharing in your chat. So it's I guess that's their way of getting in front of it. One thing that did catch my attention, not related to this topic, but somewhat related. There was a interesting article / video put out by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He posted on Instagram. He did it in partnership with New York Times. It's an opinion piece, but he's an actor and filmmaker, and he just published a piece basically pointing out that Meta has no federal guardrails around how chatbots interact with underage users. So, having a kid, myself, a child, that you're kind of like, your ears perk up and you also wonder what they're thinking about when, this kind of stuff happens. And if you watch the video, we can share it in the show notes. It's an Instagram reel that he posted. He's basically saying like that it's been tested and approved by Meta, certain kind of responses to certain, I guess you could say, prompts. And, more or less what it's turned into is, they're basically creating these synthetic intimacies between the chatbot and like an 8-year-old. Which, so if you're an 8-year-old would ask like, it's hard for me. I don't want to do it on this podcast, but if you watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. More or less, because it's a chatbot, it also is trying to, appease you, right? Like just like with OpenAI, it's trying to answer your questions, trying to whatever. But it's also doing it in a very kind of almost somewhat creepy way. And it can be, I don't know, I found it a little jarring as a parent. So anyway, I think there should be some kind of, and I'm not talking about stifling innovation here or anything like that. I'm just thinking like, let's figure out how do we protect our kids so they don't get like, fall in love with their AI chatbot at 8 or something in some creepy way.
I mean, isn't the goal to have some sort of age verification system? So even if a kid cheats it, gets around it, goes on to ChatGPT, they're not liable for what they see. I think that's probably the move.
Well, this is them. Meta. So Meta's AI.
Oh,
so
Meta.
Specific to Meta. Yeah. So the tricky part about Meta AI is they also have been, they've created kids products. So they've got this, kids messenger, for example, right? And they're trying to create these different versions of their products for kids. And, I guess when you're using AI, how sometimes that can go off the rails in a bad way with a couple of different experiences, right? And so I think that's what I guess is what I guess I'm saying is like they need to figure that out, because how weird is it if all of a sudden your 8-year-old son or daughter is talking to a chatbot who's saying like, basically telling it to, how beautiful they are and how they shimmer in the sunlight and how they, maybe should take their clothes off or something like that and cuddle. Or I mean, I'm not joking. That's somewhat similar to what was said in some of these approved messages from AI chatbots. If you watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's just it's kind of a creepy front door for kids, to get involved with that. And I guess Gordon Levitt's stance on it is he's trying to protect kids from having these weird interactions or synthetic intimacy, which is similar to like when you're a parent, you're trying to protect your kids from the internet, from watching pornographic videos like on YouTube or wherever, right? You're trying to like create that same environment. And here's one example of one that maybe they didn't think about quite thoroughly enough yet.
Unrelated, but don't you think, what's his name? Gordon Joseph Levitt? Is that his name?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Wouldn't he make a great Woody from Toy Story? Like live action Toy Story?
Yeah, he would actually.
I always think whenever I see him, he looks like a little action figure. It's cool.
Yep. And if you go, I think it's Hit Record Joe is his Instagram handle, Hit Record Joe, and you can go check out. It's like one of the first or second posts on his reels and see the post I'm talking about. But he's definitely he's brave, man. He's like John mentioned, these are multi-billion-dollar companies, and he's an actor, but he's not like a billionaire, right? So he's going after him and basically saying, protect my kids. He's got a youngster himself, and he doesn't want to have them have these weird experiences because we don't know how that's going to impact them, I guess is the point. All right, moving along. Mr. Simon, what'd you bring?
Yeah,
Mr.
following the trend. Yeah, Mr. Creatine for you. Following the trend of creepy AI developments, I want to talk about OpenAI launching Sora 2. So it's the next generation text to video model. They've previously launched Sora. Google has their own VO, and you'll see more of these coming out soon. The reason why I want to focus on Sora 2 is because it came out the most recently, and it's astonishingly good. So it's leaps and bounds better than the previous model. It has synced audio, so it can make sounds now, and you can even insert yourself into the video if you want. It uses your own likeness if you want. So it's limited to invite only right now. I actually tried pretty hard to find an invite code online, and I could not do it. But eventually it'll be rolled out to iOS users in the US and Canada. And I just found it's terrifyingly good. Like a lot of videos I've seen, it's almost impossible to tell that it's AI unless there's some crazy stuff going on in it. And one of the more interesting things actually is that for some reason, copyright laws have not taken effect for Sora 2. So you'll see videos of like Pikachu storming Normandy or SpongeBob getting shot or something horrible, but like crazy. And I thought that it's the most capable text to video generative media I've seen. And yeah, and so here's a question for you, Frank. If you had to generate an AI video of yourself doing something ridiculous, what would it be?
Surfing at the Mavericks. Have you ever seen the Mavericks?
In Hawaii? Is that
riding giants? Yeah, that's like literally like some of those surf areas are ridiculous. And it'd be, there's an area off of Portugal. It's nuts. So that'd be kind of cool. But I mean, just doing fun things. I don't know. I think one of the things I thought about was like, I'm doing some music stuff and I'd like to get some music out at some point. And like, would it be cool to like create a music video this way or something? I don't know.
Yeah. And perhaps kind of a darker turn is that I've also seen videos of people have made or prompted videos of fake terrorist attacks and violence. And it takes a lot less, I think, to stir people up to a frenzy in the world. So it's kind of scary for that reason.
Yeah.
But it also could have
deep fakes, right? You could create a deep fake of somebody and post it. Like that is real. Easy 100%. To do.
I try to think like nowadays I typically just assume every video I see on the internet's fake until proven otherwise. And I think that's probably a good.
That's so sad. Isn't that kind of sad?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little sad. But whatever. I mean, if it can make me surfing at Mavericks, it's kind of cool. We can get you on stage with Taylor Swift, I think, Frank.
There we go. That's a good one. I don't know why I didn't think of that one first. But yeah, so I think you brought the dark side of here with it. I wasn't going there with this. I was thinking, oh gosh, I want to get an invite too and try it to make some really cool videos. But yeah, there is that side of it where you could literally like be, I mean, I'm thinking like I could do like you said, surf the Mavericks or playing on the Cubs, I'm a huge Cub fan, like those types of things, like fun things. But there could be, like you said, these fake news events or fake catastrophes that, that could really be easily created.
Yeah.
And create some panic.
100%. John, what are your thoughts on this? I know you're more private in the whole tech space, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think that the first thing that comes to my mind is always you hear about movies are going to start using AI for a lot of their special effects. I always think that is there a commercial, like subscription that they subscribe to be able to do that, or are the movie houses actually like doing what we do when we go to ChatGPT and like actually write out, like what happens, and they have to keep making like iterations and different versions of it until they find exactly what they want and then plug that into the movie. That seems like Workslop for sure, right? Like, I mean, if you want something very specific for your movie, I don't know how that all works, but that's the one thing I always usually think of. And then I also do think that of the security side of things, right? Because it'd be very easily, people are already doing it using political heads of state and putting different words in their mouths that could trigger a war. I mean, if somebody made a deep fake of Putin saying something about his nuclear missiles, I mean, that could cause us to go on high alert and potentially do something that would cause a world war. So it's very spooky in that.
Yeah, I agree.
Unrelated.
There's got to be some kind of verification, right? Like, what are we going to do to verify? Like you mentioned it, Simon, like you don't believe anything you see in the videos that you see online. And I agree, like it's getting kind of to the point where you just can't. It just doesn't make sense. So maybe there's some way we can verify these videos.
Well, I think there's going to be a new opportunity, and people are definitely already working on this, but like maybe, like a picture's metadata, like every time you take a picture, it stamps it with who, what, where, when, why, and coordinates and that sort of thing. I think for some of these videos, I just think that there's going to have to be a huge, if I think they're probably already working on it, but something that could, like you said, verify some of these videos, because it is going to get weird.
It's going to get really weird. And I did not mention this, but a big part of Sora is that Sora 2 is an app. So it's number one, I think, in image and video on the App Store. But regardless, it is sort of like TikTok, but it's a complete AI. So everything you see is AI by design. So, if you think you don't see enough like AI slop on TikTok now, there's a whole app for it. I personally don't really understand. I mean, I understand the appeal. I see more downside than upside for sure.
Do we know how long of videos it creates, or are you able to say their limit?
There's definitely a limit. They're longer though. I've seen like 15 to 30 second ones. I think it went to 30 seconds. I think previous Sora was like 5 to 10 seconds. So it's like a 2 to 3x increase in the duration of the video for sure.
Yeah. To your point, John, there's got to be a commercial version, right? Like they're not going to be doing the same things we're doing with could you imagine if that you're like out of the studio and you're like, okay,
you're making
this prompts right.
You're executive, you're producing a movie by, The Rock's in it, and you're just going into ChatGPT, like, make The Rock jump from a helicopter with flames flying out behind him or something. You're like,
it's a big rock. It's not an actual. It's an actual rock.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Do something else.
How many different prompts would you have to give it to make what you want that could actually go in a major motion picture? I don't know, but it can't be like that. That's why there has to be some sort of tool that uses that as the engine behind it, I would think.
Let me reword that. Make The Rock Dwayne Johnson coming out of the building or whatever. Like, how specific? I mean, that's so frustrating, right? Like I do it all the time. I have to okay, now what do I need to say to be so specific, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's an issue they're having with LLM, or I guess machine learning in general, is that there's so many assumptions underneath what we say. Like, what's that paper? You ever hear about that paperclip experiment where they trained an AI to like collect paper clips, and then eventually, like in the simulation, it destroyed the world because it wanted more paper clips? Like, there's a lot of assumptions that we have underlying every statement we kind of verbalize that you have to specify like really specifically, I suppose.
And hold your paper clips close.
Hold your paper clips close to your heart.
Yes. All right, moving along here on a lighter note. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is just an update. I don't know if you guys have been testing stuff. We can jump to that in a minute. But we were testing Wisdom 360. Wisdom panel, Wisdom DNA, which is like they provide a ability for you to do a swab in your pet and figure out what kind of pet they are, like what's their breed or whatever. And so we got our results for Mazzy Star, our puppy, which we brought on previous cast, and she is quite a mix. 51% Maltese, 28% Siberian Husky, 7% Alaskan Malamute, 4% Chow Chow, 3% Havanese, and 2% German Shepherd, plus a bunch of other things. 51% Maltese, about 39% sled dog. So I'm calling her she's like a mini Husky sled dog, basically, is what we figured out. So that's kind of fun. Boundless energy, lots of loves running, runs like crazy, and it turned into she's a good pup. But is that surprising to you? You guys saw the dog, were you like, oh my God, I thought that was like a Chihuahua or something?
That sounds about right, honestly. Just given her colors and size and everything like that.
Yeah, you should take her on the Iditarod, Frank.
Yeah.
There you go.
What size of sled can she pull?
I think
what's her torque?
I was envisioning like, and this is probably something AI could create for us, envisioning like her probably pulling like, a sled for our chickens, maybe? Like maybe that'd be equivalent. I don't know. It's a smaller sled, but I don't know how big we still don't know how big she's going to get. She could double in size still. And she, when we're at, we walk around and stuff, she pulls so hard. Like she is very strong for like a little dog. So definitely feel that sled dog in her for sure. But I was actually surprised because we were looking for like a Westie mix, like our other dog, like Westie Poodle mix, and or some kind of terrier like that. And she doesn't really have any of that in her at all. So it's kind of funny. You just don't know what you're gonna get, and it's hard to tell by looking at a dog what they actually are. So 2% German Shepherd. I thought that was interesting too. Those German Shepherds are smart. So anyway, moving along. Any other testing? You guys testing anything cool? No?
I really haven't, Frank. I've been, like I said, moving for the past month, so not really been testing. I mean, we're getting a Sonos system installed in the house because we have the speakers for it. So I'll be testing a Sonos, system. That's about it.
Fancy. Surround sound,
nice.
John?
Yeah.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah,
that'll be neat. We'll have to bring that up next time, or when it gets installed. All right, watching. We'll go around quickly here. Obviously, I mentioned the Life as a Showgirl. If we can get to the theater this weekend, my daughter heals up. We might be able to go see that or not. She wants to see it, but not sure if we're going to make that. But the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so that's coming out in May. And there's a trailer that dropped, and it's the first trailer that dropped. So I watched that recently. And I've also been watching baseball, Major League Baseball playoffs, which has been very exciting this year. They're literally going down to the last games, the last at bats. Like it's pretty exciting what they've done with changing the rules slightly this year with the pitch clock, and made the bases bigger and just sped the game up. The average game time was 2 hours and 36 minutes, I think I heard. And that's way fast, like compared to years past when it's like the 4-hour ball game or whatever, so it's really gotten tight. And I think fans have reacted in a positive way. And obviously I'm pulling for the Cubbies, go Cubs, go. And, but interestingly, Cubs advanced to the next round, and they had this really close call that kind of was it was a strike ball strike call. And technically their little box that they put on the TV was actually a little high. So it probably could have been a lower, probably was a strike. But what they're doing next year is actually they're replacing umpires and adopting robo-umpires in 2026. So if that happened next year, you could tap your helmet and be like, hey, check that out. And they would basically bring the robo-ump in there and basically allow the review of that call, which is nowadays not available. And if you argue balls and balls and strikes, you can get thrown out of the game, and you're not supposed to do that. So it's interesting. It's evolution. It's going to obviously continue to improve the game, and obviously I'm ready for it. Technology's been there, and it's been in the minor leagues for a while. So, all right, moving along, Johnny, what have you been watching?
I've been watching the new season of The Morning Show on Apple TV or Apple Plus. And then there's also I don't know if we've talked about it before, but this show Platonic, which is Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne. It's a really good, cute show as well. Cute. I mean, it's a funny show. So been watching a lot of Apple TV lately.
Yeah, no, both those are great. And Seth Rogen is on his tear, right? Like both that and the studio are really great. Really enjoyed them. I've watched the morning show too. It's interesting to continue to kind of keep upbeat with that. Obviously, Only Murders in the Building is on as well. So I've been catching up those episodes as well, which is in season 5. Simon.
Yes. I am rewatching the show Barry on HBO. I think it might be my top 3 shows. It goes The Wire, Sopranos, and then Barry. I think might legitimately take number 3, and it is great. It's hard. It's one of the shows that's impossible to tell if it's a drama or comedy, because at times it's wildly sad. Similar to BoJack Horseman in that regard, if you've seen that.
Simon, have you watched the full series before?
Barry? Yes. Yeah. Have you?
I absolutely loved the first couple seasons. I think it went a season or 2 longer than it probably should have, because it kind of starts getting weird at the end.
Yeah.
Which it was always a weird show, and I still enjoyed it. But the first maybe 3 seasons were the funniest show I'd ever seen. I loved it. But
do you understand sort of you also agree that it's hard to tell, because at times it'll be super sad and they're not making a joke, and you expect the punchline to come, and it's oh my God, that guy is just depressed. And
you'll it's somebody's head gets blown off, which is awful, but you'll be laughing about it. So
it's amazing. I also I think Bill Hader's, he's great. I love him. Him and Jason.
Bill Hader's the best. He's so good in that, and in general, he's just really funny.
He's awesome. But
it's such a weird position to have him in too, in that movie or that TV show. I like that. All right, I like Barry. I'll have to watch it again soon. But you're right, John. I think I like the first 2 seasons better. It gets dark. It's a little dark, right? They have to wrap it up at some point. I don't know.
There's a scene where he goes to kill somebody, and the daughter is a karate girl, and starts beating him up. It's one of the funniest scenes of television of all time. It's
so
hysterical.
funny. And what's the actor's name? Like his sidekick. He's really famous. I forget his name.
Oh,
he's Fuchs in the show.
Yeah, they end up becoming enemies. Is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever known his name, but I know exactly. I know, he was in The Office back in the day.
He's so great. He's so like slapstick comedy. It's great.
He's hilarious.
Yep. Good show. Check it out if you haven't. Barry on HBO or Max, whatever. What is it called now?
I think they went back. They went to Max.
Okay, HBO Max. All right, I like that. I'll go with HBO Max. I called it that anyway. I never changed, I think. All right, on our final thought here, leaving it on a, I guess, somewhat high note. Do you guys ever get a gut feeling like, oh gosh, I feel like I've got a gut feeling about this or that, like I should maybe do this or not do that?
Yeah. All the time.
For sure. Well, there's an interesting article in the Popular Mechanics, which I don't know why it ended up in the Popular Mechanics. It just caught my attention. It's about some precognition research, and this researcher Julia Mossberg suggested that consciousness may not actually move strictly in a straight line in time. So like your consciousness of where we are right now, right? So the idea is that intuition could actually be our brain accessing future memories, not the past. Okay, let that sink in for a second. As you're getting a gut feeling, you could potentially just be feeling something that happens in the future that you literally don't know about. But since there's no context of actual time, it just happens I can't even use the word time. It just happens at the same time without the word time. And so, yeah, you could literally be just reading into the future and you don't even know it. And some scientists are comparing this to physics theories where time might not always move forward. It actually can influence, meaning you could actually influence, the future could actually influence the present, which they're actually talking about where like you could, there's things in the future that actually go back and influence past even. So there's some weird stuff happening here. I don't know if I can debunk this or not, but the idea of this deja vu flipped and, you're basically feeling it in the future, feeling the future now is it makes your head kind of spin a little bit.
That's crazy because I have trusted my gut and it's been wrong. So future Simon has screwed me. And he was like, oh, this is going to be funny to screw with past Simon. Never trust your gut. Never, ever.
I don't know. Maybe your future gets changed. I don't know.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing in the future. I'm just messing around, I think.
Science versus instinct, right? Kind of interesting. So anyway, that's our final thought of the day. If you guys got anything to add to it, please do email us over at somewhatfrank at somewhatfrank@est.us. You can get share things like weird stories, random thoughts about something we talked about, or new gadgets or things you want us to test out. We're always looking for that kind of stuff. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and stay somewhat frank. Thanks for listening to the Somewhat Frank podcast. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and leave us a review. We love the feedback and are grateful to have you as a listener. Have a great day.